In today's episode, I have the chance to talk with Izzy Cheng. Izzy is a technical animator specialized on rigging. She is working at Riot Games on League of Legends, and we talk about her career path, the difference between the indie and big studios, and much more. So let's start. I'm very curious also, like, how do you start it and how do you find your path to rigging and technical artist? That's all something that always, it's very interesting for me.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, sure. So I've always loved video games. I'm in video games, and I'm a rigger and technical artist. I love video games my entire life, and my brother is a programmer, and so I got familiar with coding at least in high school, and I went to college for computer science. So I knew I wanted to be in games in like some form or fashion, and I started thinking I would be a gameplay engineer or like a graphics engineer, something like that. And then I started a internship during my college years, and I was a gameplay engineer. But I love working with artists. I wasn't a very good engineer. Like, I wasn't amazing.
But I mean, so you started already coding? It was like, what is a gameplay engineer? I'm sorry, I'm just completely like ignorant.
Yeah. So a gameplay engineer works on like software engineering problems for any like game engine side or things that have to do with like building the game itself. So I worked at Zynga on Farmville 2, which was like a Facebook game back in the day. So the stuff I worked on were like placing objects on a map, and it was like a 3D game. So I had to solve like, okay, how do I place like objects in like hold their state like during the game state? How do I like display things in 3D? And gameplay engineers work on like so many different things depending on what the game is and the project is. So like, for example, in Unreal, a gameplay engineer would do I think it's C++ they would write like code that would like put in the game logic or something.
Yeah, you have the C++, or you can use blueprints, I guess. It can be both. Right. But yeah, engineering, I always feel like it's more like going to the code more than like I guess it's a little silly of me to think like that, but yeah, it's like
it's like it's coding, it's software engineering and design. It's the problems that they solve are very different, and they weren't that interesting to me, just like straight up. Like, I didn't enjoy it. I was like, I like coding, but I'm not excited about these problems. And my internship, I was most excited about like implementing animations for Farmville. Like, I worked with UI animators, and they asked like, hey, can we get like a flip book type of animation for some UI? And I like really enjoyed that. And so I'm like, okay, how do I become like a technical person for artists? And like, oh, it's like a technical artist that exists.
So, and you find that rigging, and you went, I mean, how it happened, this transition?
Yeah, so when I graduated college, I first started as a pipeline technical artist. So I wasn't rigging, I was writing Photoshop scripting in JavaScript. And I was also working in Unity with C#. So I was writing like artist tools in Unity and in Photoshop. Yeah, so I discovered like how to be a coder for artists in that way. And so that's kind of how I started like transitioning to tech art. And I did that for about a year and a half. And then I discovered rigging. Like I saw people at my job doing rigging, and I had no idea what it was. I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, they're working on characters and they move them around. Yeah. And so I asked one of my coworkers to teach me, and he started teaching me rigging. And then I really liked it. I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this like much.
Wow. Yeah. It's very unique path, I think. I never heard that like that. Normally, it's the other way, completely the other way around.
Yeah.
You start more as an artist, and somehow you discover rigging, and some people like it, so they transition to rigging. Then they start to learn coding and software engineering, and in some point they stop doing rigging and they go for pipeline or application developer or something. So it's completely opposite your path here. You started as an engineer and became like a rigger. That's first time I heard, honestly, and it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I've heard most people come from animation, and they discover like the problems that they need to solve and they want to solve it through coding, and so they become more technical.
Yes.
But I'm like the other way where I'm like, I want to be technical, but I want to help artists, and like I like working with artists, and I like involving myself with art, and I like characters, and so rigging is like the perfect match.
So
Yeah.
that was on Singa where you started to start little by little doing rigging. Was there?
It's so at Zynga I did an internship, and
Mm-hmm.
then I joined a different mobile games company
Mm-hmm.
where I started doing a little bit of rigging.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left that job and I took a year off from 2015 to 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and I did rigging dojo. So
With
so
Brad.
with Brad, yeah. So he taught me like rigging 101, and then I took a class with somebody else for face rigging. And so
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like built up the skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I started doing my own like side projects in an attempt to try to get a job rigging
Mm-hmm.
full time. So in 2016, I joined a small studio in LA. It's a VR game company, so virtual reality game company. And I was rigging and doing a little bit of scripting for that job. And that's how I really, really got into rigging, because I was doing it professionally now.
Wow.
And I did that for about 2-ish years.
Mm-hmm.
And then last summer, I left that job, and now I'm at Riot. So now I'm a technical artist on League of Legends, rigging characters.
So the technical artist, yeah, because it can have many like it's the title sometimes is technical artist, character 2D, rigger, and technical artist sometimes is not always about rigging. Can be many different roles of technical artist. In your case, it's you do other stuff apart of rigging as a technical artist, or just the rigging part of the characters?
Right. Yeah. So technical artist is a very like loose term. There's like at our company, technical artists, it a lot of people have that title, but their specialty is different. And it kind of depends on us what kind of specialty we want to do. So I do rigging, but I also, the types of problems that I solve are how I can get the game assets into the game engine as smoothly as possible. So I do work with like, I do touch like the character assets in the game engine. And then I also do a little bit of scripting, but it's mostly like Maya side scripting. So I'm doing like, I'm writing scripts for rigging, or pipeline sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean it's really cool that the I mean about your journey in general, like, and it's very like I mean you took 1 year off to to do this. I mean you saw it like clearly, I want to do that, and honestly I'm doing the same thing, but it was more like I like it, but I never had this like epiphany of like, oh, I need to do this, this is my call.
Yeah,
you know, I start doing it because I like it, and when I realize I've been doing it for many years and I enjoy it, and you know what I mean, like it was not like one moment, it was I keep doing it this, and yeah, looking backwards I can definitely say, yeah, this is my call, but I never had this like moment. I wish I had. Maybe I will be more focused like you did, like, okay, I really want to do this, so I will go like how you say, jump head first to have some good like classes or something. But yeah,
I feel like I had that moment because like I studied like coding and programming in college, and I was pretty sure like I wanted to do that, and then when I tried it I was like, oh, why don't I like this thing, right? Like I kind of had this like crisis where I'm like, am I doing, like, what am I doing? Why don't I like it? And then once I discovered rigging, I'm like, this is it. This is the thing I was looking for.
I think it's I mean, I like it because it's a middle ground between art and technical.
Exactly.
And as always, what I say, like, if I really like to code and I try to do it every day, but if I have to do that every day, maybe
Yeah.
like for years, always only that, I probably it will become like even if I really like it and you get to the zone like where you are focusing
Mm-hmm.
a problem solving and you enjoy. I mean, times goes like super fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the rigging you have this balance between you can be maybe months developing stuff, but in some point you can switch and go to production and do some rigging, do some artistic, maybe focusing on other skills like I don't know, art, like deformation, appealing, things like that that are more like artistic, and
Yeah.
then start the cycle. It's
Exactly.
like
Yeah, exactly.
seasonal kind of. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I as a software engineer, that is what I experienced. Like, um, it was all coding, and I felt like I was wanting something else to do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I like coding,
Mm-hmm.
like what you were saying. It's kind of seasonal. Like, I was kind of looking for some other skills to flex, like that artistic skill.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem solving, I still wanted that like problem solving skill though. Like, I still wanted to build something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I agree. It being a rigger is nice because there is like a balance. It's like a balance between the two types of skills that you want to
Mm-hmm.
flex.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. I but at the same time nobody wants to do it. It's like I
No,
don't
that's so funny.
it's like if you ask the students, uh, it's a minimal amount of people that really are interested on rigging from the
I
beginning,
know.
and
Yeah.
the vast majority goes to animation or modeling, rendering, because I think it's the most visual, easy to
Mm.
understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
I meet a lot of animators, and you know, when I tell them like I'm a rigger, I enjoy it, and they're like,
I,
enjoy it. I'm
what?
like, I like skinning, and they're like, oh.
Oh, really? Well, that is very unique inside rigging.
That I like skinning. Yeah.
This is a niche in the niche. The niche.
Yeah.
Because
It's because
yeah.
of NG skinning tools. NG skinning
Oh
tools
yeah,
makes it.
Victor
Yeah.
as I'm up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Shout out. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny. I think I always say it, but when I don't know how to skin in Maya. I came
Yeah.
from Softimage
Mm.
because I had to move to Maya, and when I see how Maya works by default, I found like I searched if there is something else. I
Yeah.
found NG skin tools and I never
Yeah.
touched the default.
There's
I
no
know.
going back.
I mean, I know, but I never use it in a like really use it.
Yeah.
I and it's not going back. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And um, yeah, there is this like I have always three for rigging, and I don't know. Maybe we can share that. Maybe your top three tools in Maya for rigging,
Yeah.
or yeah, please.
NG
Sorry.
skin tools is number one.
Yes.
And then if you can find like an auto rigger, I mean M Gear, that's a great one.
Thank
And
you.
then like Art V1, Art V2 for Unreal, and then there's some animation tools that are good.
RB, what's that? I don't know.
Oh, Art V. Oh, Art is the tool
Art.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah, yeah.
sorry. Art.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah. I understood RB like the player that comes
Well,
with shotgun. RB. No,
oh,
Art. Yeah. Sorry.
Art. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Art. Yeah.
Yeah. I also have this like, it's kind of funny, but I have this like WP renaming tool. I'm like on Maya right now. Have you heard of WP rename? It's this tool that
WP rename. No. I'm just
W
gonna.
yeah, WP rename is like this small little tool that you can easily like select objects in Maya and like rename them in like a batch. Like you can add a prefix, suffix, you can search and replace.
Maybe
This is like
it's one small like this, and no. Well, anyway, I will.
it's like one small little tool that I just like randomly use if I need to rename things, and I'm really lazy about typing it in manually.
Yeah,
like if you're building like a rig and you need to rename joints like really quick, this is the thing that I use. Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I have a tool that I don't remember the name, but I'm gonna search for this and put it on the notes on the
Oh,
on
sure.
the YouTube video when it's
Yeah.
uploaded, so everybody knows. But the no, the one I have one that it's very nice. It's very compact, and the feels that it has depends how you feel it. It
Yeah.
do one thing, or maybe it's the same. I don't know. But I don't use it that much. I normally I well I for joints I use always M gear, so it comes with the names already, so I don't touch it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, this tool I used like right in the beginning when I was learning to rig, and I needed to do it from scratch. And I was like, I need to rename things quickly.
Yeah, for me it's I always my top three, of course, are M gear, because I mean there is a ton of tools there that, and I mean it's my daily bread and butter. And then it's NG skin tools and shapes tool. But maybe for games I don't know if it's being used that much, but it's completely like,
is it shape like control shapes?
No, it's called Shapes. It's from Brave Rabbit, from Ingo.
Oh, okay, Brave Rabbit. Yeah. Okay.
And that one, it's I mean, NG skin tools and Shapes are both pay tools. I mean, it's not free. Because,
okay, yeah.
But both of them, they're, for me, it's like it doesn't cost money. It's free, like because as soon as you buy it and use it for a few days, it's pay off. Yeah, I mean, it's that simple as that. Like it's paid by himself in the few days you've been using it. I've been using it for years, so it's completely worth it. Because some people, like, when I recommend these tools, they say, but it's not free, and I don't remember NG skin tools, how much is it, but I think
I thought you can get it for free as a trial.
Oh no, like yeah, absolutely. If you are student or
if you're a student.
or non like commercial, you have both for free.
Yeah.
So you don't need to pay to learn and use it if it's not commercial. Both of them. That's important.
Yeah, so totally worth it.
And it's not like limited by anything. It's just maybe I think you have a pop-up on NG Skin Tools that says it's a non-commercial. Yeah. And in NG Skin Tools it's a yellow banner there. And for Shapes it's a little pop-up, but that's all. It's not like put anything on your scene or any. I mean, it's just. But yeah, that's my top three, and yeah, it's been 4 years like that. I'm just. I don't change that much. My top three.
Yeah.
And seriously, I don't work if I can have it. I cannot work.
No, I can't work. Well, I just introduced NG Skin Tools to my studio, like officially. Like I made them get licenses, and me and my one coworker like love it and use it religiously, and we're trying to convert people, but they are hard to convert. Like if people have a workflow, they don't want to mess, especially skinning where it's like kind of tedious. They have their workflow. They don't want to break it, or it's like too much effort to change. Then they won't try NG Skin Tools. But like I made like a video and like introduction, like documentation. I'm like, look at all the time saving.
Yeah, but it's not like about like, I mean, time saving. It's like you can, like, I don't know how do you say it like this, like to have like a race against another rigger, like, okay, let's try to rig or to skin the same character at the same time, and let's see who's
oh my god, yes. And yeah, let's like race and then let's see who finishes first.
Yeah, and the people will, and the other thing, it's like for NG Skin Tools is I use it a lot. The layering, I use it, but many times what I use the layers, it's to versioning. So if I want to try something that I'm not sure if it's gonna work, I create a duplicate, just mess around. I don't like it, boom, I get rid of that. And also like mix and match stuff. So there is not only one way to use it, and I found it's only for that it works really nice. And the two, I've been testing the two a little bit. It's gonna be super nice when it's feature complete. Still like some features missing, but yeah. And now and in the other two also the same. If you do corrective plane shapes, it's, I mean, Maya comes with really nice tools nowadays, but still not compare the easy to use with the other one, like with shapes. And the and shapes also for games, it has some stuff that I am, for instance, it depends. I think it's in Unity, the way that you transfer the shapes, and it depends. If you delete and add shapes, it messes the index IDs on the node and things like that. So shapes has tools that rebuilds everything from
nice.
extracts and rebuilds with almost one click. So ensures that it's clean to export to game engine and things like that. That's some things that I didn't use it extensively for that, but I know there's some stuff. But yeah, we have, I think we did our first tangent already.
It's all good. I love talking about edgy skin tools.
Yeah, let's yeah. I mean, it's awesome. This tool is awesome, and I cannot work without that. It's yeah. But yeah. Okay, I'm just checking here the bullet points that we are trying to recover. So we was talking about your journey, how you ended up being a rigger, and also I would like to talk a little bit. You was commenting like maybe we can talk like your change from like this like small or indie studio to Riot, that by any means it's small. I think it's one of the biggest in the world.
Yeah.
Or less that I know.
Yeah, exactly. So like how the transition was from a small studio to a big studio, right?
And also I'm interested on the, I mean, if you can talk a little bit about the differences, how and maybe some people is also interested like to know, I guess every place will have pros and cons, and maybe I don't know if you can talk also about that and what is the what it takes to go from one to another and things like that.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. So if I were to talk about working in a small studio, it's my studio was about, let me think, 130 people max. I would say when I joined it was a little less than that. I was one of 2 riggers. So there were maybe like 5 technical artists total with different specialties. But it was 2 riggers, me and my senior rigger, and sometimes we worked on like 3 or 4 games at a time in Unreal, and we would have to like swap, responsibilities. And we liked working on different stuff, and so that worked out. So in this indie studio, I was changing hats a lot. I was context switching a lot. I was working with all the animators we had on the team, and it was interesting because like since there's only 2 of us, we had to make the decisions. Like we had to make the calls for how our pipeline was built, how the characters are going to be built. It was kind of up to us, like craft wise, rigging wise, what we're going to do. And luckily, like we were very collaborative with the character art team. We were close with like the designers and the modelers and animators, and so we all were very close and had really good productive conversations about how our pipeline was going to be built. And this was and our studio was new, relatively new, and some challenges were new. For example, we worked on a game that had a lot of cinematic events, and we used a lot of mocap, and they never worked on mocap before. And so and my senior rigger didn't want to do it. Like he was like, mocap is okay, but I would rather do this other thing, because he is like more of a modeler, where I was like more of a scripter. So I was like, I'll do the mocap. That's cool. I'll do so I had to experiment a lot on like what mocap solutions are in our budget as an indie studio. So we started with like using the Vive as our mocap. So we had like controllers and like trackers just using the Vive, and using a plugin for Unreal. And then so we made a whole game just using that. And then the next game that I worked on, we had the accent suit. I don't know if you heard of
Yes,
accents.
I know.
Yeah, and that was amazing. So we had the accent suit. I got close with like the people, the couple people at Accents that like came to our studio and trained us and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And so I like built like the relationship between them and our studio, and then we outsourced some stuff to Cubic Motion and one other studio that I don't remember. But Faceware. Sorry, we did Faceware as well.
Oh, yeah, the one that they're I don't remember
the
name,
did, like,
but they have like the couple of applications and the helmet that they sell with it.
Yeah. So working at a indie studio is very scrappy. I would say my top word is scrappy, because there's some things that are not clean. Like you just have to get it done. Our timeline was like maybe 1 to 2 years on a game. Ideally like 8 months to a year-ish, because VR is very new, and so we had to not spend too much time on a project. We had to like get out a project and see how it goes, right? So yeah, scrappy. not established pipeline.
Yeah.
We would make mistakes and have to figure it out, or we work with what we got. Like Unreal, luckily Unreal is a great engine to work as an indie studio, because there's a lot of problems that are solved for you. And we had the art tools, which solved a lot of iteration problems as far as rigging goes. We didn't have to like build each rig by hand every time. We were able to iterate quickly with art. So that was really great. That was a great experience working in an indie studio. And by the end of my time there, I was like, I kind of want to know what it's like to be an established pipeline, so that I get a better idea of what something maybe should look like, or feel like. And I also wanted to work with a lot of riggers. Like I wanted to, not that like the rigger that I worked with was bad, but like it's hard to, bounce ideas off of each other when it's just the two of us. Like sometimes you need 2, 3, 4, 5 more opinions on like what you're working on. So that's why I went to Riot, and it was like night and day, like how we work. And at first when I joined Riot, it was a culture shock. It was like I came from like a studio of 130, and suddenly I was at a company in our LAX studio. It's like 2,000 people.
Oh,
like
wow.
I was
That's
meeting
huge.
somebody. I was meeting like 10 people a day for like 2 months. Like every day I was meeting somebody new. And so on my team, I'm on the League of Legends team, and I'm on skins. So that means that I work on skins for characters and champions that are already existing, but it's like new model. Sometimes it's new animation set. Sometimes it's new rigging, but like the champion is already established. So yeah, so the tech artists that we have, I want to say we have like 14 or 15 riggers, and that's just riggers.
Huge.
Yeah, on League. And then we have just on League, like just on League.
Oh, okay. So it's not the
not
company. Yeah.
That's not the company. That's like, yeah, like we have R&D, and that's even more. And then we have like material tech artists. We have what else? We have pipeline tech artists, and we also have engineers, like engineers that work just for characters, which are like absolute unicorns. Like if you think a tech artist is a unicorn, no. An animation rigger or animation software engineer that works with like animation pipeline and tech artists and stuff, that's a unicorn, because no engineer like wants to do that.
I see. Yeah. I never work with. Yeah, we have on our studio, we have like development department, of course, and they do many. They wear many hats.
Yeah.
They do like what you will say, like animation engineering things, like for instance processing motion capture data from the studio that we have to like standardize and like bulk, because we do almost all our projects. It's in some sort of order. There is a certain level of motion capture, and we have the studio there, like quite big actually.
Yeah.
and we do like every week. I mean, it's always running the mock update and getting new data. So yeah, that's very strange. But I mean, to have this person very specialized on this is not very common.
The software engineer that we have a couple. They do like engine side pipeline to like the art side. So they're kind of like they're kind of like a tech artist, but completely tech. It's just super interesting that when I came.
Yeah, I have a question. When you talk about the skins, it's like for instance, the I know League of Legends has different, like the games have different skins. Now you have the classic one, and I know we have this anime style also. It's because we did one game cinematic for Riot a few years ago that was the oh my god, I forgot the name. It's the anime. How it's called? Oh, it's Star something.
I wish I could think of it. I wasn't here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, me neither. That one was done before I arrived to the company. But I will take note here and add it on the comments later. I will add the link. But yeah, we add this. So these kind of skins you're talking, like different, like you have your hero and these different skins. So maybe the same character but has different like designs. On these skins also evolve on the time, so you have kind of upgrades, I guess. No?
Exactly. Yeah. So the stuff that I specifically do is the skin line for the champions that are already established. So like you said, they have a base like look and story and background and play style in our game, and then the skins kind of are like, it's exactly what it's like, a different skin for the player to just have a cosmetic change. But the way that we handle skins is we have like a thematic, we have like cinematics, try to give it a little more story and like flesh it out so that it's more value for the player. And the ones that I work on are the in-game assets. So like we can have cinematics for a skin line, and then we'll have like the actual skin that goes in the game, and that's the thing that I work on.
Yeah, I just wanted to explain a little bit, because the first thing that people may think about is that you do only skinning. It's not that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, two different words. Same word, meanings.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like white skinning for the skin cluster. It's different characters with different designs that have these different looks and feels for.
Exactly.
It's basically the game is the same, but you have these different looks for the game. So that's the skins. Yeah, that's I mean, super cool. And you have maybe hundreds. I never.
Oh, we have like thousands.
Thousands, no?
I think the first skin that I worked on at Riot was like our 1,000th skin, I think.
Oh, so you hit the
we hit the mark recently.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
it's that's a lot of characters.
We have so many characters. We have like 100 something characters. Wow. It's insane. All different rigs, all their special snowflake rig.
Oh really? It's it's very very custom, no? Like every and you have all the, because all these, I guess, if you have I'm totally ignoring here, but like if you have like this character that's a hero character that have different skins, and I guess the people who plays this character, it has special combos or abilities, so you may have these same animations or variations of the animation but for each skin, but of course because the skin is different, you need to adjust these animations to match the skin. So it means the rig some sort of capacity needs to have consistency, but at the same time address the uniqueness of each character. And I guess, I mean, it should be something like very complex to manage all these, like in terms of long-term projects, no? Like
right, yeah. So I wanted to touch on the things you just said. So you're saying, we have like a base champion, and the skins vary depending on the cost. So we have different levels of skins. I work on like the mid-level type. So So we have a base set of animations that don't change, and then one animation changes because it's part of like their personality. So it becomes like that. So that one animation changes for that skin line. It's called a recall. And what's interesting about League of Legends is the move set and the animation set is very important because when you're playing, the animations become the character, like recognizable for the character. So you can't change them too much, or else the character becomes unrecognizable and therefore basically game breaking. Because if you're playing, let's say I'm playing a game against a character that I'm familiar with on the base level, and then they have a different skin, and let's say the animations are so different, I don't know that that's that character anymore, then that's like not a good experience as a player. Right. So as a character rigger, I have to balance that read of the character plus the creativity that we're trying to inject for that skin line, right? Like our skin lines are they can get really like fancy and like idea wise and creative wise, we have gone everywhere. We've had like we just released like a K-pop band skin line. We have anime inspired. We have like Chinese New Year inspired. What other ones? We have like cyberpunk kind of, like we go everywhere, but it still has to be that character. Like it still has to read as that character. So how do we balance like those different thematics with the like the in-game stuff? Because we can't break like something in game, like we can't break the design.
I understand. It's like because if you think like, for instance, another kind of style of games like fight games, and you imagine your fighter has a very specific move, and you change that move, even if it's the same, it's not the same character anymore. So I guess that applies here. It's exactly the same. It's the game style is different, but the character, it has this consistency between the character itself and the way that he moves and does attacks and things like that, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a complex thing to tackle, especially when you have this amount of characters variations and a project like League of Legends that's been for years, and I guess will be many years in the future that will be evolving, and so that's a management and this, like the level of, I would say, control that you must have. It cannot be like your previous company where it was more like savvy, like you just go with one project and then close and go to the next one and close. So here you need to have a vision from future, for the future.
Yes. That was one of the like shifts in mindset, like sustainability, right? Like, how do I build this thing so that like 10 years down the line, the rigger doesn't look at this and is like, oh my God. Right?
It's hard to imagine. 10 years. If you ask me to open one rig from 10 years, I would.
League just had their 10-year anniversary last year.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So I sometimes have to deal with rigs that are like years old.
It's League of Legends is my God, that's times. I'm dating myself too much. I thought it was yesterday, like not yesterday, but not that long ago.
No,
Well, congratulations, and again, I'm still feel old now.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. It's completely fine. And like another, like I'm just checking here my notes again for your like maybe it's a good moment to talk about, you was commenting like so challenges. So what was, like, maybe we can take the broad meaning of these challenges, like maybe daily challenges, like context challenges, or career that you have challenges to move forward.
Yeah.
I think it's very broad.
Yeah. No. I think I can talk about like my career challenges a little bit, and then I'll talk about like challenges at Riot, because I mean it is pretty unique and interesting, I think, and they're fun challenges too. So career-wise, switching game development roles was hard, and especially switching tech art focus was challenging. Like um I think I literally knew nothing about rigging coming out of college. But I knew I loved working with characters. And at first I thought I was going to be like a materials tech artist, but I discovered like it I think it requires a lot of math, and I'm not that good at math. Whereas like rigging, it's like it is math, but it's very visual. It's very like, I don't know, I comprehend it better. But yeah, and the technical difficulties of rigging, I think, are difficult too. They're challenging too, but it's fun for me. Yeah, and switching from being a pipeline tech artist to a rigging tech artist was hard because it was kind of I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, I mean, I took a year off, and it was like, I guess I'm going for it. Like, I'm not sure how long it's gonna take for me to get a job. I don't know how hard this is. I'm just gonna, go to Rigging Dojo and see what happens, because they advertise themselves pretty well and their community is good. So I saw the animation and rigging community pretty attractive, because for some reason they just seem like very tight knit and very, I don't know, they do cool stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, especially I don't know other schools like firsthand, but I know Brad for long, and I know Rigging Dojo even for longer. Of course, I myself I did also a few self classes there.
Yeah.
And they're really good. And as you say, like, there's a really good community, and they it's not like you do this class and I feel like many people stay in touch after that.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important, and they are very specialized in what they do. It's not like other schools that they have many offerings and you have one teacher that comes do it for a few like rounds, and then it's another teacher who comes depending. So Rigging Dojo, you have these people, the core team that it's been there for years, and it's his like his passion is it's focused there for, so this is cool. So I totally recommend.
Yeah, same. It was challenging, like the uncertainty of switching specialties within tech art. It was a risk because I knew, coming from a programming background, that I could stay in pipeline, but I wanted to get like that more like art. I wanted to flex like that art muscle more. And I really wasn't sure what was going to happen when I went to Rigging Dojo, and I'm so lucky. Like, I feel like their community is great, and like the classes are great, and Brad encourages you to, like, I think he teaches a really good way. He encourages you to like make mistakes and solve problems. And he chooses like he lets you choose the project that you want to work on. So it was super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And if someone is listening and is interested on becoming a rigger, I don't know, but in general, in every country, but I think it's, I mean, there is a lot of work. I mean, it's not, I will say it's not risky in terms of I will have work after. No, man. I mean, here in Japan,
it's not. That is so scary. Like,
in Japan, we have difficulties to find riggers, like, for real. There is a lot of animators, there is a lot of modelers, there are a lot of people that goes for the visual end of the things. But when it comes for more like technical artists, of course, developers, things like, there is a big lack of, I think, or it's not a lack, there's a lot here, but it's the demand, it exceeds the offer of people, and especially for rigging. I mean, we don't find, I mean, we have been looking for months, and here in Japan there is no riggers. If we have to hire someone, we will need to bring it from abroad, and because the coronavirus thing. Wait.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah, it's a I will say not safe. I don't know the future world will be.
Yeah.
Never say that, but yeah, right now it's. I mean, if you want to choose a specialty and you like this, but you're not sure if I mean the demand
Yeah.
is quite high actually.
Yeah, that is good to know. And same here in the US. I guess maybe just my company and my experience, it is still hard to hire riggers because um s- I think we're really picky. We want a culture fit and we want riggers that have dealt with, game engine. Well, people come from VFX, it's fine, but like we can be kind of picky too.
Well, I imagine. I mean, you need to. I mean, in studios like this size, if you don't, I mean, well, I guess it applies to every studio, like any size. But it's yeah, when you build team building, it's very important, and I mean,
Yep.
you cannot. I mean, if it's like let's say for short terms, like contracts and things like that in a small project, I mean, you shouldn't. I mean, never risk, but unless it's easier to have this rotational of people. Like for instance, I did a lot of work in advertisement many like before, and of course, if you hire a rigger, it's in my case, if you hire me, it's gonna be for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And if I don't do well, or you always can change, or if you fit with the team, you normally you repeat with the same team with the next projects. But it's a bit more flexible, and I think this flexibility and rotation of people, as bigger as the company, bigger the project, of course you need to this it's something that you cannot do that easy, because I guess only the training time when you get, let's say, in Riot or on any other company, and get used to the tools, to the pipeline, to the ways, that is a huge investment also for the studio. So yeah, you need to be sure that the person you hire is not only that has the skills that you need, but also that fits on the team in a way that, like not only like skills level, but other like like personality.
Communication.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and our team is so huge. We communicate with people all the time, and especially remotely too. It's even harder. Yeah, our culture fit is very important, and what was I gonna get at that? I was gonna say something about that. Oh, the nature of being a tech artist too. Like just as a tech artist, we interact with all different departments. We have to speak a lot of languages, as a programmer, maybe sometimes even as a designer, as an artist, we have to talk about we have to explain our problems to people, right? Like to producers and to, help modelers or help animations. So it's just so important to be good to work with, just from the nature of being a tech artist. We're in the middle of communication in the art department.
Yes, I agree with that. It's a kind of nexus between different departments.
Yep.
And we navigate from art to tech. It's the bridge, I will say, especially for characters, for like animation part of the characters, I would say. And I think rigging it's also animation itself. Like if you think about the that you need to think about the animation before starts animation, but you need to think about modeling before they finish modeling, and you can. So it's a very interesting place to be. I was about to ask something on the we have maybe just jumping here on the bullet points, but just trying to. You were saying before, like this, like talking about the team and all this, and the for instance, you have this you need to hire someone who has already experience with games and so on. And I was talking like maybe because the VFX differences, like VFX, let's say animation offline render approach, and because like can be animation for VFX, can be animation for like TV shows, or for animation movies like Pixar, Disney, things like that. So it can be very like and it was commenting like there, I mean, I think it's converging. Like before was a big gap between the techniques and things that you can use in both industries, or in the, I don't know, industries, because it's not two only, but I would say like targets, or real time and no real time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And but now like it's converging a lot, and it's a lot of overlaps already. It's not 100%, but still some kind of differences, and the people needs to transition. Can you give us a little advice, or like to the people, or some like information there, like maybe you have from colleagues or someone that has transitioned before?
Yeah, sure. I definitely, disclaimer, I've never worked in VFX. I have only dealt with, like simple blend shapes, bones, and skin clusters. I've never used like custom deformers or anything. So yeah, all my knowledge about transitioning is just from me talking to my colleagues and their experiences, which has been super interesting. But yeah, I would say it's funny because they talk about like render times. They're like, I learned, like one of my coworkers is like, I learned how to juggle because something was rendering and it took forever, and so I learned how to juggle.
I mean, that's cool. A lot of time, man.
So I imagine the problems that you solve in VFX and film are like, you're cheating to the screen, like you're cheating to this screen, and that's it, right?
Yes.
Like you don't need to spin things around. You don't care about the engine that comes before the movie, right? Or whatever is rendered.
Yes.
It gets rendered and then it's done. So if it looks good here, then that's great, right? Or if like your rig works for the animator, this is again all what I've been told. Like if it works for the animator and it's performant enough for them to work for the screen, it's great, right?
Yes.
But
you don't need to think about exporting this data to another. It's just gonna be the 2D image, let's say.
Right. Yeah. So coming to games, our problems are that every game is different and every game engine is different. The constraints are different, performance-wise, or what like platform you're on. So we're on PC. I'll just take Riot for example. For League of Legends, our platform is on PC, and we have a very low spec. It has to run on a toaster. Like League of Legends has to run on like a very low spec, and so like, how do we build characters that can run in our game engine on this very low spec machine? And so we can no longer cheat the screen. Like we have to we can spin like the camera, the characters move based on player movement, and so you have to, so the way you're thinking about it is, how do you account for like every problem, right? Like the problem is like they can move any which way, and they have an animation set. So how do you make it look like smooth and feel good? Not just, and there are ways that we can cheat. Like we have so League of Legends has a locked camera. It's like isometric almost.
Yes.
And so we cheat to that camera. We don't cheat to like the screen, we cheat to the camera. So I think that skill might actually translate, but like for me as a rigger, I try to make things as clean as possible in whatever angle. So like when I'm rigging, I care about what something looks like in the back view, even if the front view is mostly seen. Like I'll rig a character like all the way around to make sure it's good, right? Yeah,
for us, I mean, for like offline render things, even or like pre-render stuff, the rig itself needs to work in every angle. That's because you don't
Okay.
know where it's gonna be the camera. So
Yeah.
but the animator itself, it's when it does this only for the camera thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the rig should work in any angle anyway.
Yeah.
But it's the animator when he does the animation, maybe he wants to make a false perspective, like if I put my hand very close and this kind of anime style thing, for instance. So maybe they instead of moving the camera has it's a very I will say like an arrow like teleobjective. I don't know if it's in English. It's correct.
Like a field of view.
Yeah, instead of like let's say it's 100 millimeters or something very narrow. Like it's not like, so you don't have I mean, if I put my hand very far away, it's gonna still flatten all the image together. So what they do is scale the hand, so it looks so. And of course, if you turn the camera there, you will see that the hand is not closer to the camera; it just scale it. So these kind of things, it's the things that we cheat to camera, but it's the animation part that I guess you cannot do it in games, because of course, if even you have the perspective like this, if can move the camera, or I mean, you don't do that to the camera, let's say. You do,
right.
It's different, the approach.
And like our characters have to, at least for us, all of our characters are built and then loaded in memory in the beginning of the game, and so we can't add. We have a budget of memory for per character.
Yes.
And all of our models, animations, VFX have to fit in that budget, and we all have to load it in advance. So we can't add extra things that come.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's like the big difference. Like for us, we can do what as far as the animator is not like super slow. Like if you play it and it goes like 2 frames per second, or something like that's bad. But we can do any deformers, anything that, I mean, the rig itself, the file can be huge, even it performs fast. But we can have many deformance stacks and things like that I think in game, like your memory like this, it limits you. Not even which deformance you can use, that you told me it's basically plane shapes, skin clusters, and joints basically. But also the way that you apply it, no? Like you can have probably a max of plane shapes, or a max of how many joints per vertex you can have, things like that, and that makes very tricky to make a really nice deformation, because you play with the limitations of the memory.
In League of Legends, we don't have blend shades. We don't have dynamic lighting, so all of our characters are hand painted by our modelers. And games are an interactive media, so the animations don't just have to look good, they have to feel good. Like when you press a button, it have to feel like they were rewarded for that button press. So we're rigging so that, or the animators are animating so that it feels good, it doesn't just look good. And
it's like I there's the difference between the looking good and feeling good, because there's the interaction thing. It's like a developer, if you have a good keyboard or a bad like keyboard that it's mushy, and you have maybe one with I don't know, cherry MX blue, like have this clicky feeling, like, oh, this is good. So same thing for the animation. If you have this, you play and does something that it's not even snappier enough, or
exactly.
That's the feeling of the animation. Maybe the animation is great, but when you play it, does something triggering, and it's not. So that's of course that's important.
And that's why in our pipeline, like, we do a lot of play testing. Every week we play test, even as we're making something in production. If it's half done, we'll play test it, because if it's not feeling good to players, halfway done a skin, we don't want to be done with a skin and then we try it and it doesn't feel good and we wasted time. We're like iterating as we're making something. to make sure the design fits and the feel fits.
That's really cool. So you basically you can ingest somehow your rigs on the game or on the like testing game something, and you can play it and see how it works, your rig.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. We I mean, we have on when we do the for offline rendering things, of course we have tests, but it's more like animation, like some libraries of animation that we can run, range of motions, things like that. But I imagine that having this interaction must be super satisfactory, that you do that and maybe it has a cloth or something that move with this animation. I don't like the silhouette of the cloth, so I'm just
yes,
you brush up there, change something, ingest it again in the game, play it. Oh, nice, look super.
Exactly. Yeah, and in skins, like we have like a base animation set, and so I'm not like starting from scratch. I have a base animation where I can test my skin, and so I'll work on a new thing, and maybe like a character has like a bow in the back, right? It didn't have a bow in the back before, but now it does. So I add it in, and she has a run animation already. And I'm like, okay, let me just like run around and see like how this bow looks from like every angle. And so I like make her run in circles, or like I make her do her abilities, and I'm like, this is cute. Like this bow like feels really cute, and it's nice. Rewarding for a player to have like, you know, some secondary animation in there. So yeah,
that's really nice. And do you tackle also like maybe this is a bit of it now, but the like dynamic animation, like for instance, you in game you may have the baked animation, that is the one that the animator does, and then you have the engine automatic or dynamic animation, that it's something that can be from interactive IK systems to overlap dynamics and things like that. So do you do this kind of rigging or prepare that for the in-game to fine-tune that part?
Yes. So our engine, again, has to run on a toaster, so we don't have too much, but we have some dynamics that make, for example, like if you have like a tail and then the character turns like 90 degrees, the tail will like have a, like it'll have like a
delay
kind of
thing.
Exactly. So we have that as engine driven, which is really nice because it kind of gives like an extra polish. And then in Maya, we have a tool for like jiggle like spring, I guess. So we can add so when characters are getting animated, the animators can toggle this jiggle or like dynamic and then bake it out to the game, and it still like adds something else, like it just saves some time. But that is Maya side. So
that's it's really cool. I mean, I can imagine the satisfactory of doing something, test it and iterate in a more like extensive way.
Totally. It feels really good for the artists too. Like I work with amazing artists. Like my team, we have so many concept artists, modelers, animators, VFX artists, and it's satisfying for them to make a model or a concept model, and then I take it, rig it, and then throw it in game, and I'm like, here's our progress, right? And they're like, oh my god, it's alive. It's so cool.
I feel like I agree with that. And for, I don't know for you, but for me it's also like I do sometimes a rig, and I know by a fact that it's not my best work, like really like I don't have more time, you know, like there is many the context can have many variables, so not always you can do what you feel is the best. You do what is the best for the context or the best for the time you have. And then the animator takes that and do some shots on that, and they get gold from and you what you really can you do that with, and it's super exciting also, like for the rigger. So we maybe excite the modelers because they see the character moving or articulating and things like that, but then at the same time for me, if you have like really great animators and they take your work and put life on that, and you see oh wow, I didn't know you can do that. On my test it looks like super ugly poses when I do it, like to and then it's the same rig I did.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always also surprised like how much they push a rig too.
Yeah.
Like they'll like squash and stretch something I didn't even try,
Yeah.
and then they're like, "Hey, can I get this pose? Like, you know, I want this to look appealing." And then it's interesting for me to figure out, you know, that problem to solve that I didn't think of. And that's always like really interesting too. Part of the process is like I'm gonna try to like solve as many problems as I think would be helpful, but not too many, because I don't want to give you something useless. I'll give you something, and then they come back and they're like, "Oh, I want this like other thing." Yeah.
And at the same time, there's always like the risk, like I don't like to lock anything for the animators, but sometimes they just rotate in a impossible ways the things, and they in some moments it break the rig and say that's broken.
Yeah.
Say, man, you he's already, I mean, the character is dead, you twist his neck and break his arms, and I mean he needs to go hospital. But it's
so in our engine you can't like I don't know about VFX, but it's not that good to scale a rig to 0. I don't know, like
it depends of the well, for if it's pre-rendered, you can do whatever you can. I mean, whatever looks good on the screen, it's good to go.
Okay, so, yeah. In a game engines, sometimes like the transforms for a joint will get really, like, it'll be bad. It'll be bad in the game engine. It'll probably break something if you scale a rig to 0. So it's just like little things that is funny when I see animators try something, and then I throw it in game. I'm like, this is broken. Like, this
explodes.
isn't gonna work. This you like,
yeah. I know. I mean, I don't used to work on games that much, but we do from time to time, like projects that it's for games or interactive stuff that needs to run on Unity, Unreal, things like that. No.
Yeah.
And there is a few things that we do, like some squash and stretch and things like that, and you need to take care how I guess I don't know the game engine you use, but for instance, I think it's Unity. You cannot have non-uniform scaling, so you can scale, but you need to handle uniformly or things like that. So, but that's depends of the game engine. I don't know. I think every one has its own limitations or advantages.
That's also the challenge of being a tech artist. It's like knowing your constraints. Like you can jump, luckily a lot of our skills are transformable. It doesn't really matter which engine you work on, but when you jump from Unreal to Unity to our engine, we have a proprietary engine. We have different constraints. We have different things that happen that Unreal doesn't do, and so it's like learning what those nuances are too, in order to develop your character in like an efficient way.
Absolutely. This is something that's much needed. Okay, so I'm just checking. So I think we almost tackled all the. I mean, it's going super smooth today. I think we didn't go into much tangents. That is nice, and it's not nice. It depends how you think about the things, but it's cool. I'm really having a blast talking with you. I want to tackle at least one more bullet point before. Maybe if you have something else that maybe you want to talk that I'm missing, just let me know. I mean, it's not like we need to cut any time soon or anything. Just like at least to go all these bullet points that I think it's how you say, they are very interesting.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I wanted to ask lastly, it's about if people wants to work on games, is very interested in games and in this specialty for rigging or tech artists. Do you have any advice or any like recommended path, let's say, or something that maybe they should avoid, maybe in terms
is this like specifically tech artist in games?
I will say it can be specific, but if it's something also general, that's of course always welcome. I mean, everybody can take advantage.
Yeah, I would say, at least for me, if you're passionate about games and interactive media, it's really rewarding, and I'm lucky. I'm at a studio that treats me well, and it's fun work. It's hard work, but it's fun. And what's really cool is people in games are very passionate, and even for me, like, video games are my number one hobby. It's like a lifestyle, right? Playing video games.
Gamer.
And yeah, a gamer. And it's a great community. Like, people talk about games, they can talk for hours. Like, it's very rewarding. So if you like playing games, I mean, I would recommend it, and just remain passionate about it. The first interview that we have at Riot is literally talking about, like, what games you play. Like, it's not even League of Legends. It's like, what games are you playing? Why do you like them? What makes you want to get into the game industry? So I think being passionate is, like, very valuable.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, especially, I mean, in this industry, I think it's the only like pure driver that you may have to become, like, in this like, I would say, more general CG and animation, video games, VFX industry. It's pure passion, or something that you enjoy what you're doing. Because if you coming here for the money, I think it's better to go in real estate or something that you're gonna get much more money for maybe less work.
Yeah, and if you're a software engineer too, like, you're getting paid well, but, like, you can be a software engineer anywhere and get paid well. You don't need to be in games.
But especially, like, I think nobody say, oh, I want to get in the animation industry or game industry because I want to get rich.
Exactly.
That is not how it works. It may happen. I mean, if you had a hit game or a movie or something, but it's more like playing lottery to, like, you need to do it because you have this passion, and
and you like to build things and
enjoy it. I mean, enjoy day by day. That's the goal. If you have this is the goal. The other things that may come, it's an extra.
And also, I don't even necessarily stay at Riot because of the game. I don't play League of Legends. I'm like one of the few, but I stay.
It's gonna be recorded. Take care.
Hey, people already on my team, they, like, give me so much shit. They're like, play more. I'm like, I play, but, like, it's for my job. Anyway, the most valuable thing that I find is the people. Like, I have such, like, amazing, talented coworkers, and, like, the tech artists are so good at their job. I learned so much from them, and, like, I work with really, really amazing artists that are so inspiring. So, I mean, working in games is, like, for me, it's, like, almost about the people now. It's, like, really great to work with. And tech art specifically, I would say, like, if, let's say, like, somebody were to want to get into tech art specifically for games, I think if you have a passion for solving problems, first off, but solving problems for people, like, this is going back to, like, being a software engineer too. Like, as a software engineer, I'm solving problems for the engine, or, like, in order to get a product to work, just for the sake of the product. As a tech artist, you're solving problems for the sake of somebody else. I'm trying to build the rig so that an animator doesn't have to move every bone to animate a character. Or a pipeline tech artist is solving, like, you can export animations without having to do it by hand. So they're very, like, it's a very people-oriented job. And as a tech artist, if you enjoy working with people, solving problems, if you enjoy the art part of it too, and you like the visuals of a game, then I think it's like a great, like, niche it's like a great solution to having, like, the two needs of, like, tech and art together is tech art.
It's like, I always compare with the Renaissance. Like, it was not this distinction between art and science. Like if you think like Leonardo da Vinci, for instance, that it did paint and it did invent all these crazy things, and it did math, and it was, I think it's the closest to that you may find like this art tech balance. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because like in the tech you have to be creative too. Like you have to think of like creative solutions. So
it
involves...
this is, I mean, if you also like putting this, like was commenting, like titles for the people, like what tech artist, what is a tech artist, or it can be a rigger, can be I mean, can be many things, and it's the same. I think the it can be also like technical creative can be also a tag that you can attach to yourself, like as a technical but a creative person that creates, but using techniques or technical things like to solve problems.
And like for me, like if you feel rewarded, or if I feel very rewarded when an animator makes something really awesome with like a rig I built. Like I think that's like a very specific like reward that I enjoy. I just enjoy like that somebody used something that I built and it helped them make their like amazing art, you know? It's like, oh dang, you're like using this like technical thing in such a amazing, like you brought it to life. It's like so rewarding.
Yeah, for me it's also like, you know, it's very really a teamwork, and I did work for many places, many different studios, many different things, but you are good as your team, and that's, and it's, you are good as also like the environment that you are, like even your team can be good, but if you don't have a good environment for your team, you're not gonna be look good. And the proof it's like I did like something, like some projects that are really great and some projects that are very forgettable, and some of this it was with the same people. It's not like, and this when it comes to environment and being a nice place, it's I don't know how to say that, but some people thinks that you're really good if you show both, and you know by fact I'm put my same things on both of these, and I show you like blinded who of these characters do you think is best, the rigger. I would say this, and it's you know, but I did both. You know, you will choose one thing and it's this guy is better rigger than this one, or this better animator, and this one is, it's the same guy, just context was different.
Definitely. And you have to enjoy both, like you're not gonna always be this like on this high where you're like, I love doing this. It's like I love, and then it's like, oh, it's okay, I'm just gonna get this done.
Sometimes the projects that looks like very like not high end, let's say, they are the most fun to do. And you probably is the ones that you want to repeat, and maybe the high end sometimes you suffer more, and it's good to have it and to do it, but at the same time maybe it's more taxing for you. So but if, of course, depends of the project and the context. But it was super cool. And do you want to add something? I think I want to ask you something extra, and I didn't tell you what I'm gonna ask you, but
what you mean, do I have some, or do you have something
no, I was asking like if you want to touch any other points that we hit almost like 1 hour 20 now on the podcast, and I want to ask like something to finish, and this is something I may start to doing now on the podcast. It's like 3 favorite games and 3 favorite movies. So something like easy to, so that people can rely more, like say, oh, I like that one or not. Just open this.
Totally. Okay, so 3. Should I start with 3 favorite games?
Yes. So
that's really, really hard. Asking a game, like
I know you can just say it like you don't play games.
Like, their favorite
So I say, oh, I should ask this. I think it's a cool thing to ask. So
No, I'll ask.
and
I'll answer. I'll answer. Okay, so what excites me most about games is the interactive storytelling. I really like games with a good story and like character development. Um, and so the recent games that I played of my favorites are Horizon Zero Dawn. Amazing game, looks great. Oh, it's so good. It has like an amazing story. I love this. I love the art style.
uh,
Yeah, and
that's pretty cool.
yeah, second game I would say Dragon Age. A lot of character development, and you can basically like craft your story the way you want, and like you have amazing companions. And story's really great, so I love Dragon Age. And last one I would say, I just finished this game called Spiritfarer. It came out this year and has amazing story.
I don't know that one. Oh,
Yeah,
I will look for that.
Yeah, look it up. It's really great. It's an indie game, so shout out to indie games. Yeah, it has really good characters in it, and it's 2D animated. So I have like
nice.
a thing for 2D animated games too.
Like pixel art or like 2D like
like
Cuphead.
Like Cuphead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. But it must be the most tough approach to do like games, I think, in terms of the art.
Yeah, I've watched like GDC talks and stuff on Cuphead. Oh my gosh, it's insane. Yeah. They like drew every frame and like the in-betweens, and it's on ones too, which is
it's crazy. Yeah, they're gonna do the TV series, or they're in production. I don't know where I read it and who is gonna be the Netflix, maybe. No,
I think so.
It's
that
Netflix?
Sounds right. And I think it's the same studio. It's the same studio.
It should be the same animator. I mean, the animator. Yeah. They can pull it off, of course.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then 3 favorite movies. Favorite movie is Lord of the Rings, specifically Return of the King. I even like The Hobbit too. I know a lot of people don't, but I really like it.
I remember. I mean, it's enjoyable. I would say I enjoyed watching the movies, and it was really cool to watch. But I think the original trilogy, it's more powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I have an affinity for The Hobbit because of the dragon. Like when I saw the dragon, and there was like documentary on The Hobbit, it showed like the dragon rig, and I was like, whoa, my god, the rigging's so cool. So.
Yeah, small with the mouth. How they did the lip sync for the dragon only was like, oh wow.
Yeah,
because it's so difficult. It's like a lizard. I mean, how you animate how you did it. Yeah.
And then one of the animators that worked on that dragon works at Riot now, and so I was able to like, I just told him like, amazing. It's so inspiring. And okay, 2 other movies. Let me think. Lord of the Rings is pretty influential.
Yeah, it's 3. Actually, it's 3 movies already.
Okay, yeah. Interstellar. I love Interstellar.
Interesting.
Yeah. What other movies are there that I like? I like sci-fi and fantasy. Yeah. Or like things with characters in them, or animations.
Yeah,
like
animation. Yeah, of course. I mean, it can be any technique. But but thank you so much. I think I put you in a trouble, but clearly, you're more gamer than the movie.
I mean, I love movies, but games are like my number one.
Yeah. But it was really cool to talk with you, Izzy. So much. Thank you so much. I think that's we can finish here. Do you want to add something else on? I mean, it's your time. You can ask me anything if you want. I mean, it's not like this is a conversation. It's just like I ask more than say.
Yeah. What else did I kind of wanted to talk about I kind of wanted to talk about like one of my favorite things about working at Riot.
Oh yes, please.
Of course. Still have time?
you have all the
Okay.
time you need. I'm just was like yeah, because I have all my the bullet points that we talk before
Okay.
starting. I think we hit this time everything. So I was thinking like
Okay.
maybe there's
Okay.
nothing
Perfect.
else, but please
Okay.
continue.
Yeah. No,
I'm
sorry.
having
I
so
don't want to
much
like.
fun. No, 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 no. Don't
Okay.
worry. I have a little time. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I think the my favorite thing is um really specific. It might be specific to Riot and like it's very unique and interesting. Or maybe it's not. But anyway, I work really, really close with like all types of artists, and
Mhm.
the way that we collaborate is very, very cool. And it's like my favorite thing about working on my team because I talk to like when we start a skin, uh, we have this way of thinking of a skin line,
Mhm.
and we call it a thematic. And we have a department of people that develop the thematic for a skin. So let's, for example, like we just released like a musical inspired skin line where it's like K-pop artists.
Mhm.
Um, and we have like a thematic development team that fleshes out like what is this world? What are these characters, right? And um, and then as a skins team, we translate like that world into what could happen in game and eventually what happens in the game and like what elements can be added. So like it's not like we're just thinking of a character skin and making it and then like that's
Mhm.
it. We're like making sometimes we're making like so much lore
Mhm.
for like just the skin line.
Mhm.
And I think it's
Yeah.
super cool because it's like it becomes like a storytelling type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's very, very valuable for players. Like they love it because
Yeah.
it just yeah.
Yeah, what you're trying to convey is like I mean, you have different teams on your let's say project, but
Yeah.
it's not like teamwork between the teams. It's a teamwork with the whole team as
Yeah.
a unit. Like
Yeah.
you can input not only for your area of expertise, but also add to another areas in a more like
Exactly.
flat, let's say, hierarchy of that you can add
Yeah.
like to other teams, and the other teams can add to your.
Yeah, yeah. So like the way that we make a skin is like we'll have skin. So every week we have a skin review where we all share like our progress on how it's going. And the modeler will like share like, okay, this is like my model so far, or the concept will be like, okay, this is, what I've made and maybe it'll
Mhm.
translate to game or not. But like we all have a say in like how things go. Um, and even as a artist, I can input creative
Mhm.
things and be like, hey, maybe this would be cool because I know my capabilities as a craft, like
Mhm.
tech artist craft. And so maybe my input here would be useful for you because it'll unlock you in some way.
Mhm.
Like I will be talking to a concept artist about a new skin, and concept artist will be like, hey, like I added this like little element here,
Mhm.
like for a champion. Is this gonna work in game or is it
Yeah,
like right? So I'm like, oh yeah, let me see like if there's any
yeah,
creative solutions like that I can
yeah,
do to make it work, and that goes all the way to like
yeah,
animation. Yeah.
yeah. That's really great, and I feel when you express here, because in for my experience, it depends on the project. We can do that
Yeah.
sometimes, or we cannot. It depends. For
Yeah,
instance, if it
exactly.
comes from a client that already has logged the designs and everything, you
Hmm.
cannot have this kind of I will not say creative decisions, but helping to the creative decision.
Yeah.
You cannot help that anymore. While
Hmm.
there is another projects that we take control from the design to the final product,
Hmm.
and yet to have the ability to talk with the designer and to see, okay, they design some kind of cloth or something, and
Yeah.
you can put your input as a character TD, like, look, if we do this, it's gonna be maybe easier to animate this part, or it's gonna look better because it's
Yeah.
not gonna have this locking, or maybe you can change the layering of this cloth, and suddenly the character can open the cloth, and maybe it's gonna be much more nicer for the silhouette when it reads, or things like that, that it's together, because at the end the end result is something from different departments, like from concept
Exactly.
art to the animator and everything in between. So
Hmm.
if you have these um, like channels of communication and creation, yeah, you can at the end it's gonna be much better the result, and everybody feels invested, no, in the
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're all the way that we're structured to make a skin, we're all owners of our particular craft. So like we have pods of people that work on one skin. So in my direct like team is me as the tech artist, and then we have one concept artist, one modeler, one VFX artist, and one animator and a producer. And we're all like working together on one skin. And the skin is about 5 to 7 weeks of production. So from start to finish, we're like,
oh wow, that's super
together.
Cool. I didn't expect that. So I was thinking more like it's a bigger team, so but it's just one like creative unit, like
yeah. So we
wow,
have,
that's cool.
We have like 6 pods, something like that. Like we have different pods, but yeah, that's like I'm like in a unit that works on like a stream of skins, and
that's
they're like
really
5
cool.
to 7 weeks. Yeah.
What?
And so the first thing that we're introduced before we work in a skin is the thematic. We're like we have like a presentation from the thematic development team where it's like, this is the type of like lore that you're working in. This is like the skin that is going to exist in this world. So like for our pop star stuff, we knew like, okay, it was going to be a pop star. We're going to make a music video. They're going to have like Twitter page. Like it's going to be like a real person.
Yeah.
And then we're making the skin, and it's great because we have all the resources of that theme to pull from. And we just like get in that mindset of the thematic, and we're all aligned on like, okay, this is the type of character we're going for. Plus balancing that with the character in game that has to feel right for the player. And so it's like all these like game design concerns too. So we're like balancing those two creative decisions. Yeah.
That's great. And by the way, the K-pop skin, it's amazing. I saw some of the videos. And also these live shows that I saw the videos on. Of course, I didn't saw it in person, but I saw these live shows with the. It's kind of holographic project. I don't know how it's done, but it's really amazing that all these like extra. I don't know how you, but how League of Legends, it's more than the game. It's something bigger.
Yeah, we flesh it out, and it really, we put more into like our skin lines, and we just keep getting back like great reception from our players. Like our players just really love that we flesh out a skin line, because then when they play it in game, it's as if they're like playing in this, like they're playing like the character from that world that they love, right? So yeah, it's really rewarding, and that is very coming from my other studio. It was like how you described, where we didn't really, as tech artists, have a say in design in the character.
I see.
I didn't work with concept at all. It was just kind of like, okay, this is the game. This has to be like the rules.
And one thing that it got my attention here is that the people will expect the other way around. That it is smaller, you will have maybe more creative input than in a big. But it's in this case, it can be completely opposite. That is the big one that give you more opportunities to have these inputs than small one. That's also take.
I know, and it's not even to say like in small studios I had input in different ways. It just depends like on the needs. And at a big studio, you know, the size is not dependent on like the amount of input, I guess.
This is what I was saying. Like, it of course in the small studio you may have this or not. It's like, but the people will not expect that. Is what I'm saying. It's the expectations. It's like, but that's cool. I'm glad we added this part, because it's really, I didn't expect that honestly on the
I definitely didn't. When I joined the team, I did that is something I didn't expect, and that I really love about it. Like when I was in our skin reviews, I was included. Like it was weird. That was like, they were like, Izzy, like, what do you think about this? I'm like, you're asking me?
What?
Like,
you freak out, like, why are you asking me?
Like, oh, I better have a right answer. But it's like, no, they like, you can give creative feedback.
That's nice.
You're a gamer, like you have like you know, input on being a gamer and how it feels. And then as a craft owner, I know like what could work and what I want to test for the character. So it's just like the environment is just like very, very collaborative, creative, driven, and that's something I really value in my team.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like the everybody that we work on the team, we need to be feel part of the, I don't know, to have a little ownership of the project in a some extent.
Yeah,
that you feel part. If you are only like someone who execute orders, it can be fun, but with time they will wear out your like, let's say, spirit of ownership. And I think that people like humankind needs to feel proud of what he does, and in some extent like to feel ownership of that. So you can I don't know how it's, I mean, I guess it's a human way to be like you need to be proud of what you do and of course enjoy it, but to have this little ownership. Well, yeah, that's important takeaway I think from here today.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Izzy. I think it was a really nice conversation, and I had a lot of fun, and I would say like I discovered a lot of things today talking with you, and how I mean, how I didn't expect that, honestly, that these kind of things working on in the big companies and how it works. I think it's very revealing for everybody. Like maybe they're curious how is the life on these big studios, and they don't have the opportunity to talk with anybody there to have it firsthand. So thank you so much for your time and patience organizing this, because it was a bit trouble the first couple of times I think we tried.
It's all good.
But yeah, thank you so much. It's
thank you so much for having me. I have fun talking about tech art and like connecting with other tech artists and like hearing their experience. I mean, like you said, like everyone has their different journey, and it still surprises me how different like everybody's experience is. And the things that they're passionate about too. Like I find tech artists have like so many different like things that they love doing, even within like hobbies. Like some of my coworkers have like really super interesting hobbies too. I love meeting new tech artists, so thank you for having me on.
My pleasure.